The scent and smoke and sweat of a casino are nauseating at 3 in the morning. Then the soul erosion produced by high gambling, a compost of greed and fear and nervous tension, becomes unbearable and the senses awaken in revolt from it. James Bond suddenly knew that he was tired. He always knew when his body or his mind had had enough, and he always acted on the knowledge. This helped him to avoid staleness and the sensual bluntness that breeds mistakes. That is not just a scene. That is the moment the world met James Bond, and he was already exhausted. This is Casino Royale. I'm Zan, konnichiwa, aloha, buongiorno, and what's up? And welcome to an episode of the Spiraken Book Club, the show where we talk about different types of books, tell you the pros and cons about it, and more importantly, if it's worth investing your time in or not. And this is the 36th installment of Project 45 by 45, where I read 45 books before I hit my 45th birthday. And this one is a doozy, because more importantly than the other books we've talked about, this one is responsible for one of the greatest fictional spies of all time. The book was written by a former spy master, and it has been adapted several times, including 3 different films, a video game, and several various adaptations besides that. And the book that we're talking about today is one that came out all the way back in 1953 and was written by a former, well, you could say spy master for the British government. We're talking about Ian Fleming, and the book we're talking about is Casino Royale. And this is the first book in the James Bond franchise. This was the book that changed it all. This introduced the man, the myth, the amazing person who has been adapted by so many different actors, from Martin Nelson all the way through to Daniel Craig. And if you want to hear about our movie review of James Bond Casino Royale, check out our website, www.spiraken.com, in our James Bond tab. It'll be the 21st one on there. It was all the way back in 2021. We had a blast talking about it, and you'll hear my thoughts about the movie itself. Greta and I go over it, and it's kind of fascinating. But we're not here to talk about the movie, we're here to talk about the novel itself. And if you've never watched the 2006 film or the 1967 film, or watched the infamous original version, which came out in 1954 with Barry Nelson, this is the story of James Bond 007 from MI6 as he's dealing with an agent of Smirch, a communist secret government group that their job is they want to kill all spies. And there is an asset known as Le Chiffre who is at a casino and he's running out of money because of some bad deals. And Smirch wants to kill him, and it's up to James Bond to relieve him of his funds and deal with that. And also, this introduces several things, including Vesper Lynn, the love of James Bond's life, also the reason why he hates women, and also introduces the Vesper Martini and the infamous Shaken Not Stirred, which is from this book in particular. Ironically, the infamous line that we all know, the names Bond, James Bond, and the Vesper Martini are on the same page, page 57 of the book, which is really fascinating. Or sorry, 53 of the book. And it's really unique that this story has so much elements that were used in the Daniel Craig film that explains it, because it goes into all of the moments about it, including the infamous torture scene that is in the movie. It's done a little differently, but it is almost verbatim. And that part was fascinating. Also, the last line of the book. And note, James Bond is a misogynist. He is someone who is not a nice person in this, but this was written in 1953, so the times were different. Political correctness was not even a thing. The opening of the book, before we even get into the actual first page, there is a note that says, "This book was written at a time when terms and attitudes which might be considered offensive by modern readers were commonplace. A number of updates have been made in this edition while keeping as close as possible to the original text and the period in which it was set." So even with them fixing it, there are still moments where you're like, this is a little rough. But regardless, how is Casino Royale Ian Fleming book? The novel is a thriller that was written back in 1953 involving a baccarat game. And I, as someone who's been to casinos before, who has gambled for years, I like playing poker, roulette, slot machines, and blackjack. I've never been interested in baccarat because it seems like it's such a hard, difficult game. And this book explains it so simply that I ended up watching tons of videos on Baccarat afterward, and I want to learn how to play it. It's so simple and interesting, and this is a Baccarat tournament, which is a little confusing to explain, but it's very simple. And just reading this scene and listening to how it goes, and just the moments of James Bond versus Lashif as they're going back and forth with this whole moment of if they make the card, they'll bankrupt Lashif and all will be well. But if he misses, then he's lost all of his money. It's captivating and mesmerizing. And we could see why this was adapted in the way it was and why it is such an important read. It makes you interested in James Bond. And also, we get into his thought process as he's falling in love with Vesper Lynn. Slight spoilers. However, this book was written 7 years ago, and it's fascinating, beautiful, it's crazy, it's violent, it's action packed, and while it does not have the standard Walther PPK as his gun, it's actually a Colt 45 and also a what was the other gun he had in here? I think it was a Beretta. Uh, it's still all the spycraft is there. For example, he lays his hair on a door, and if it's moved, you know someone was in there. He has a device that will actually scramble people's listening bugs. It's fascinating. The story is crafted so well, and more importantly, Ian Fleming was a spy. He was someone who dealt with all the spycraft and work during World War II and afterwards. So he understands all the elements. And it's just a fascinating read. Now, early on, they're talking about the basic files of the sheaf and getting into Smirch. And that's a little dry, not going to lie. I was a little bored by it for a moment for one chapter. But besides that one chapter, the book was amazing. It drew me in. It was such a, well, refreshing book for a book that was written over 70 years ago. And honestly, I'm a James Bond fan. I've been it. That's why I did all the James Bond movies and I reviewed all of them. And I have my feelings on who my favorite Bond is and what my thoughts on each of the films. But this book was one where I want to read the rest of the series. And taking my enjoyment of the James Bond films and the concept out of the window, it's a very solid story. It's a story of love, action, and betrayal. It's a story that is set in a way where you want things to go well, you know it's going to go bad, and then the turn happens, and it's it's all aces. Now, if you're into something more action packed, you want to read about shootouts and gunplay and macho men who are like Rango who will walk in and blow a person's face off. This is not for you. This is for the civilized gentleman, the gentleman who's going to be sitting there debriefing his partner while drinking a bottle of champagne and having a avocado pear as a dessert. A man who will relax and sit there and enjoy his time while also being super stressed out about the situation and being unnerved and not trusting anyone. This is the beginning of James Bond. This is his origin and the way where why he is the way he is, why the way he thinks. More importantly, why the way he mistrusts people and why people have lost his trust. Why Vesper is such a thing that hurt him. And why later on, when he does find a second chance, he's very guarded. This explains all of that. I can go on and on about this, but I'm just going to get to it. So, as you could probably guess, I'm going to have to give this our highest rating of really, really, really cool. Read it now. Baccarat, Betrayal, and the Birth of a Legend. It's a compelling, dated, and essential reading for a Bond fan or any spy reader. It's just exceptional. It is a great book. And honestly, go read it. It's one of my favorite books I've read this entire project. Is it my favorite? No, but this one is one where after we're done with this project, I'm going to be reading the rest of this series. And there's, I think, 12 books in the whole series. Let me check. There's currently 1, 2, 3, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There's 14 books in the whole series. I'll probably read them all within a month. Because, well, one, I have addictive personality, and two, this is really worth it. So definitely check it out. Let me know your thoughts on it. If you've read James Bond, if you ever wanted to read James Bond, what were your thoughts on the book if you've read it? And more importantly, do you think that this world still needs James Bond years later? I will say that the fact that they bring up communists so much in this book is fascinating, though, because it was during the time, during the Cold War, and it brings up those elements. And SMERSH is a real organization. It's fascinating. I don't think Spectre is in the actual books. I have to wait and see, but I digress. What are your thoughts? Let me know. Leave a comment down below or email me at ansparkin.com, which means Sparkin. And now, with that in mind, let's actually, well, let me review what I'm going to be reviewing for number 37 of Project 45 by 45 because we're almost done. And for number 37, I'm going to be reviewing the first cyberpunk book, the most popular cyberpunk book. We're talking about Neuromancer by William Gibson. Someone asked for me to do that because I did the cyberpunk book and I did Snow Crash. So my third one, we're doing Gibson. Also, they're doing the Apple TV adaptation, so it feels appropriate. Am I going to like it? Am I not? Well, the last two I was kind of met on, so we'll see. And compared to this, I don't know. I may really like it or I may hate it. We're going to find out together, though. If you have questions or comments or concerns, you can email me personally at Zan, that's Xan at Spiraken.com. You can blue sky me at spiraken.social.bsky. You can leave a comment down below. You can leave a comment on our website, www.spiraken.com. I currently have a poll for what we're going to do in the next iteration of the Spiraken Movie Club or movie review. We're going to be talking about movies, what the next theme is. I also have a poll for what panels you want me to do at the next convention I go to. And last, and certainly not least, as always, I should always remember, you should always remember to like, share, subscribe, and as always, click on that bell for notification for when we release new episodes, which is 2 times a week. And I may be a little late this week because I'm actually going to be going away for a little bit. Why? I'm not going to say it's a whole thing, but you have to wait and see. Regardless, I hope you enjoyed this episode. As usual, I'm your host, Zan. I'm Gonzville. I'll catch you guys next time. And as always, keep reading books. I will see you later.